Hi, everyone. Thank you for attending today's webinar, and we're excited to have so many people interested in learning about AdMob today. Before we begin, I want to let everyone know that this webinar is being recorded, and these slides will be posted on the Google Mobile Ads blog afterwards. We'd like to ask you to please mute your audio, but make sure you ask questions. You can type in your questions in the chat box in the lower right-hand corner. If you experience any technical difficulties during this webinar, please alert our tech team by alerting them in your chat box. They'll be with us during the whole webinar. And we'll also save time at the end for some questions. I think we have about 15 minutes planned, so we'll be looking forward to answering your questions at the end. This is Chuyen speaking. I'm the mobile publisher advocate, and I'm based in North America. Victoria is also on the line and will be joining us later on. She's the mobile monetization lead for Australia and New Zealand. And we've both been at Google for over 6 years, and we're really excited to be working with developers in the mobile space. So here at Google, our goal is to make the web work for you. That means helping you to reach users effectively at the right moment, make informed decisions through data, and grow your business no matter what platform you decide to conduct business on. Please tweet at us during the event at #AdMob. We'd love to see what interests you from our presentation today. So in this webinar, we'll go over methods on how to grow your audience, monetize your app, measure your progress, and finally walk you through the AdMob interface. We'll leave at least 15 minutes at the end for Q&A, and we've got quite a packed agenda. But before we get started, we'd like to find out how many people on the call currently have an app. So please take 30 seconds to select your answer, and I'll be able to share results with you shortly. Okay. So it looks like about half of you currently don't have an app, but a quarter of you half of you are planning to build an app later this year. So this is really promising, and hopefully the tips that we'll go over during this webinar will help you plan for the launch and promotion of your app. So regardless of whether or not you have an app right now, this slide should be no surprise to most of you. Smartphone penetration has been growing exponentially over the past few years, and Australia has been ahead of the curve since. What you may not know is that WAP-predominant countries like Japan are experiencing the highest rate of smartphone adoption in the last year. The smartphone revolution is not over, and we predict that the most growth to come from these countries will come from these countries as featured phones become obsolete. So we've also seen that smartphones and tablets are outshipping PCs. More Android devices are activated each day than babies are born. So by 2013, which is just next year, more people will access the web through a mobile device than through a computer. In fact, mobile is now so deeply embedded in our everyday routine. They're the first thing we reach for in the morning. They're the last thing we put down at night. And in recent smartphone research studies, mobile devices are with us all the time wherever we go. Today, you're connected on your couch, in your car, the coffee shop, or on your walk home. Mobile devices have really become our second brain, and not only do we rely on phones for directions, restaurants, and entertainment, we rely on our devices for all information. In fact, search on mobile has grown 5 times over the past few years. So what does this mean for all of you developers and potential developers? Money. The mobile app market is expected to reach $46 billion by 2016. So if you're a savvy developer, you figure you should get a piece of that money, right? Well, the bad news is you're not the only one that thinks that. There are over 500,000 apps in the Google Play market. So how do you set yourself apart from everybody else? And this is how. You need to be able to make smart decisions to build a sustainable business in the mobile app space. And here are the 3 key steps in mapping out your success. Now, I'm going to hand this over to Victoria, who will actually go through each of these steps in detail.
Hi everyone, and thanks very much for joining us today. We do hope that you find the webinar useful. So as Tian said, the first step when it comes to building a successful app and app business is growing your audience. And the good news is you don't need a huge marketing budget to be able to promote your app. Your first resource for growing your audience should be social networks. According to recent Nielsen research, 37% of smartphone users discover apps through referrals from their friends and family. In order to get the word out there about your app, firstly, think about what makes it distinctive and worth talking about, and then share it amongst your social networks. Another good idea is to allow social sharing within the app. So for example, if you have a gaming app, let the user brag to their friends each time they complete a level. Or if it's an app with rich content, let them share articles and news with their friends. This can really help to increase adoption of your app. You should also work really closely with websites that review apps. Give them early releases of the app so they can give you feedback and help you spread the word. Now, there is one thing to watch out for when you're leveraging the social channel, and that is that good news travels fast, but unfortunately bad news travels even faster. So please do manage your social networks carefully. A good example of this is Angry Birds. The Angry Birds team actually responds to nearly every single tweet that they receive, and this allows them to respond quickly to negative reactions and create a quick feedback loop for iterations on their game. And here's another way that you can promote your apps for free. If you know other developers, simply swap your apps with them. If you do decide to do this, make sure the app you're swapping with has a different user base than you do, or else you'll just be spamming your users. If you don't know any other developers, you can build your network at local meetups and through developer groups such as Mobile Monday. If you have more than one app, you can also use house ads to cross-promote your apps. House ads let you jumpstart your audience from one app to the next. This helps you accelerate the adoption of your next app by leveraging your existing loyal users, as you can see in this chart. Still on house ads, one example of a developer who's been really successful at using this channel is Backflip Studios. In fact, we found that across the board, conversions are much higher for house ads. And this is because your users are familiar with your brand, they already like your app, and therefore they're more willing to try new products from you. House ads can also be used to promote merchandising or any other product that you have. Basically, think of it as free ad space for whatever messaging you want to push. There are also many other app layers, app promotions, and third-party app stores out there that you can use to gain further distribution. But not every single one of these will be right for you and your business, so we recommend you take your time to research possible synergies before jumping into every single opportunity available. Finally, on promotion, if you do have a marketing budget, paid advertising is a very effective tool to accelerate your app adoption. With networks like AdMob, you can directly target other apps with users who may be interested in apps like yours. All of this is really important because the number of downloads you get is one thing that affects your rankings in app stores. And this chart shows that the higher your ranking, the more downloads you continue to get. So there's a real knock-on effect. Therefore, it really is important to do due diligence when you're promoting your app. Throughout this webinar, we will talk about monetizing your app as well. This slide introduces you to the different factors that affect how much you can earn or how much you will earn from your app. And I want to highlight that the number of ad requests that you have is directly related to the number of users of your app. So just to stress this point again, although the steps I've talked about so far may sound like a lot of work, it is really important that you do promote your app effectively to gain users that you can then go on to monetize. Right, so let's move on to how you can make money from your app. There's 4 common ways that developers monetize their apps, and we'll do a deep dive into each of these. The first one is paid downloads. This is where a user pays you to download your app. It's usually a one-time payment, and the user will have unlimited access to the app after the initial payment. With paid downloads, you basically earn what the user pays for the download, less the cut that the App Store takes. So you should check what the cuts are. This method of making money may restrict the audience you get, but it does guarantee revenue every single time a download happens. It's important to set the pricing correctly. So when you set the pricing, you should consider, firstly, being fair, to look at what other apps are charging or other similar apps are charging in the stores. And secondly, you can decrease price over time, but it's actually really hard to increase the price without receiving a lot of backlash from your users. The second way you can make money is freemium, which means free to try, but you pay for an upgraded version or additional functionality. The advantage of this method is that you build your audience really quickly. When you ask them to pay for additional content or additional levels, you'd usually use in-app payment functionality to do this. Which brings us on to the third method, which is in-app purchases. In-app purchases are becoming extremely popular amongst app developers. They basically allow users to pay incremental fees for certain features or incentives within your app. These could be virtual goods. So, for example, if you have a farming game, you might charge them for extra farming tools. Or in Angry Birds, you can buy a mighty eagle, which allows you to bypass any level within the game. And finally, there's advertising. This works by putting ads on your app, and advertisers pay you for clicks and impressions on that ad. Unless you're a large company that has a direct sales force to sell your ad inventory, you can work with an ad network, such as AdMob, to place ads on your app. The advantage of ads is that you make money every single time the app is used, not just when it's first downloaded, so you can make more money over time, depending on your app's usage. The typical developer will tend to just use one of these monetization methods when launching their app, but in our opinion, any single method is flawed, and here's why. So firstly, in 2011, 96% of all apps downloaded were free apps. There's some people out there that have never and will never pay for an app. If you only release a paid app, you're missing out on a large consumer base that can be monetized by other methods. Secondly, paid downloads also wane over time. So this can be a very unstable revenue stream, and you can't build a business on an unstable revenue stream. Thirdly, we also see here in this pie chart that nearly half of users may never make an in-app purchase. Even if they do make a purchase on the 10th interaction with your app, you've already missed out on the 9 previous monetization opportunities. So this is what we propose. You should leverage each of these monetization models as a building block to increase your revenue potential. By combining all 4 monetization methods, you can hedge revenue fluctuations and gain a steady revenue stream. So let's look at a developer who's been extremely successful at employing these models. When Backflip Studios launched their first app, Ragdoll Blaster, in 2009, they utilized the free-to-paid model. As their app portfolio grew and impressions really started to take off, they decided to create a steady revenue stream by including ads on their apps. Julian, who's the CEO of Backflip, has been quoted as saying that ads provide him with a steady stream of revenue upon which he can build a business. Jump forward to today, and Backflip Studios have invested a huge amount of resources on their newest app release, Dragonvale, which I'm sure many of you will recognize in the right-hand corner of the slide. Dragonvale uses a deep engagement gaming model with in-app purchases. This represents a fundamental shift from their casual games portfolio and is moving them into the high-engagement gaming space. This is all made possible through the revenue made from their casual gaming portfolio. So now you know how to get users and promote your app. You know how to monetize your users. But there's still one step in building a sustainable app business, and that is to measure your progress. Most app stores will tell you the number of downloads you have and the revenue you're getting from paid apps. Downloads are important as they influence ranking in app stores, as I've already said, but they only tell part of the story. You also really need to be looking at engagement. Are the people who've downloaded your app actually actively using it? You need to look at things like daily active users and monthly active users to figure this out. To do this, I strongly encourage you to start using an analytics tool, such as Google Analytics, which is free, to help you manage your app business effectively. Through the data that you can gather with these tools, you can adjust your strategy accordingly. For example, if you don't have enough downloads for an app, you can go back to promoting your app through social, advertising, etc. Or if you're not earning enough from your app, you can revisit your monetization streams, perhaps add ad codes to your apps or use something like in-app purchases. At the end of the day, you can't make a good business decision if you can't answer the questions listed on the slide, and an analytics tool will help you to do this. So that concludes the section on promoting your app, making money from your app, and measuring your performance. I'm now going to hand back to Tuyen, who will give more of a deep dive into AdMob and how you can use AdMob to build a successful business.
Thanks, Victoria. So since 2007, AdMob has been providing developers with robust advertising and publishing tools to quit your day job. We'll go over some of these features in more detail, but first I'd like to take another poll. So please take 30 seconds to select your answer, and I'll be able to respond to any concerns during the rest of this presentation. Okay, perfect. So it looks like the majority of you don't have an app, but a few of you don't know how to implement our AdMob SDK, and some of you are concerned about the bad eCPMs that AdMob has. So I will address those during the rest of the presentation, and if I do not explain any of those things thoroughly enough, we'll also take some time during the Q&A to go over some of your concerns as well. Thank you. So first, let me explain who AdMob is. We are a network of mobile advertisers and mobile publishers. We work with Fortune 500 companies and a one-man development shop alike. AdMob is also fully integrated into the Google Ad Network at the end of this year, which is one of the largest advertising networks globally. So many of you might know, as if you're concerned about our bad eCPMs, is that when Google first bought AdMob, we really operated on two different stacks. Over the last few years, our product team have been working really hard at integrating the two products. So at the end of this year, we expect AdMob to be fully a part of the Google Ad Network experience. And as a result of bringing more advertisers on board and having more competition, we do expect to see some increases to the eCPMs that are available now. So as an advertiser with AdMob, you'll be able to target apps and users based on the above parameters. As I mentioned on the previous slide, the AdMob advertising network is also currently being integrated into the AdWords network, which means that you'll have access to the robust features currently available through AdWords. I'm not an advertising specialist, so we're going to move on to some of the publishing-facing tools that will be available to you as an AdMob developer as well. Now, this is the feature Victoria mentioned earlier. House ads are available through the AdMob interface. This feature is free to use, which means you don't have to pay for placing ads on your own app. This also means that you don't get paid either. So if you do decide to monetize with paid ads, it's very easy to do so with AdMob. You just need to sign up for an account, download and integrate our SDK, and whenever we serve an ad to your app that is clicked on by a user, we pay you for that click. So many of you on this call who don't know how to integrate the SDK, we have a great code site that's called code.google.com/mobile. And on this site, you'll be able to find technical documents that will walk you step by step on integrating the SDK. We also have a great developer forum that's also available on that site that you'll have access to. We have actual AdMob engineers manning that forum, so any technical questions you have, they'll be able to answer. So to understand your revenue potential, you'll need a clear understanding of the metrics included in your AdMob interface. Let me quickly walk through these. CPC is cost per click. It's the amount of money you get paid for each click on an ad. CTR is click-through rate. It's the number of clicks divided by the number of impressions. Impressions is the number of ads served to your app, and fill rate is the number of ads served to the number of ad requests made by your app. So you basically want a fill rate of 100%. Anything less means you're leaving money on the table and you're leaving inventory on the table that is unmonetized. Now, the metrics on the left-hand side are controlled by ad networks. The metrics on the right-hand side are controlled by you. Victoria touched on how you can increase your user base to increase your ad impressions. CTR can be optimized by testing your ad placement and look, and I'll actually go into that a little bit later on in this webinar. RPM, or revenue per mille, is a component of all four of these things. It's important to think about RPM when selecting the ad network you partner with. So just because an ad network has a high CPC doesn't mean they have a high RPM. So here's an example. Network A has a $2 CPC, but only a fill rate of 10%. Network B has a $1 CPC, but 100% fill rate. So all other things being equal, you'll end up earning more revenue with Network B. Now, on the earlier slide, I said that you actually have no control over your fill rate, and that's an ad network control. But with AdMob, you actually do. We recommend that you maximize your fill rate by opting into backfill. This allows your app to serve ads from the Google and Google certified ad network. We found that apps that opt into backfill reach a fill rate of about 100% and can earn higher eCPMs by being exposed to more ad diversity. So two important things to note here is that filters do not apply to ads from the Google certified ad network. This feature also works on an app-by-app basis, so you should make sure to opt in each time you create a new app ID. Here's another feature that will allow you to have more control over your ad mediation. AdMob Ad Network Mediation is now available within your AdMob account and allows you to mediate your ad impressions across the mobile ad networks of your choice. You don't have to include AdMob in your ad network mix, and there's no cost to use it. So each network is very different and may perform differently for you, so we recommend that you test different networks to maximize your RPM. Remember that understanding how each network performs from an RPM perspective will help you to make the right decisions in ad mediation. So here at AdMob, we've also been working hard at bringing you cutting-edge ads, including formats like app promotion, click-to-call, location-based ads, etc. We also have released support for rich media HTML5 and MRAID-supported ad units this year, and we're looking forward to continuing to deliver cutting-edge ads. So this is very beneficial for you as a publisher because advertisers are willing to pay more for these ads, which means that you will earn higher CPCs in the end. We also support 3 full-size ad units on iOS and Android tablets. These are the 728 by 90 leaderboard, the 300 by 250 rectangle, and the 468 by 60 banner. As an AdMob publisher, you also have full control over the ads that you serve. Our robust filters include URL, app, text, category, language, and search filters. So you never really have to be afraid of showing an ad that you don't want to show unless you're opted in to backfill. Now, here's an example of how search filtering works in action. Essentially, you can search for all ads in our network containing a specific word or phrase to block. This method is extremely manual, and it only views live ads in the system. So we recommend that if you decide to use this filtering method, make sure you use another filtering method along with this so that you have full control over the ads that are served to your app. And you also have server-side control on the look and feel of your ads, along with the refresh rate. Since this is all done server-side, you can make changes to your refresh rate, ad layout, the look and feel of your ad without updating the SDK and republishing your app. And finally, in order to truly maximize your revenue, we recommend that you test your settings. Here are 3 things that we would recommend testing. The first is your placement. We recommend that you test ads on the home screen, in between screenplays, on content pages. If you have a particularly long content page that is a list or an article, then maybe you want to put the ad in the middle of that page. Also, the look and feel of ads is very important. Test various styles and background colors for text ads. Users can become blind to your ad if you don't change it often enough, so we recommend changing it every quarter or every month or so. And of course, your refresh rate can greatly affect your performance. Although you have the ability to set your ad refresh rate from 12 seconds to 120 seconds in the AdMob interface, we recommend a refresh rate of between 45 and 60 seconds. We find that this gives users just enough time to interact with your app and also decide to interact with the ad. And of course, you'll be able to measure your success along the way with AdMob's robust reporting options, including providing an interactive dashboard. You also have access to a reporting API that lets you schedule reports to be delivered straight to your email inbox. You'll also find granular country-level reporting in the AdMob interface, so you know exactly where your money is coming from. This is very important to publishers because if you know that you're earning more in China or Korea and earning less in the United States, then maybe your app promotion activities should be directed at countries that you have higher earning potential in. And of course, although Google Analytics is not a part of AdMob, it has recently rolled out support for mobile apps. So you can now track your e-commerce funnel and referrals through analytics. And as Victoria mentioned, analytics can help you understand user behavior so you can make smart decisions about your business. So if you're ready to start building your business with AdMob today, just visit www.admob.com and sign up for an account. If you're interested in learning more about any of the things we've talked about, visit guidetotheappgalaxy.com. It's a very cool interactive tool that allows you to track your progress in this complicated world of apps. Here are also additional resources that will help you keep up to date on our latest product developments. And before we head into a Q&A session, I'd like to ask each of you to please fill out this survey. Click on the link on the slide, fill out this survey so we know what you liked, what you didn't like, and we can provide you with better data and information for our future webinars. So once you go ahead and do that, we'll move on to the Q&A. And it looks like we have a couple questions lined up already. So Victoria, do you want to read off the first one?
Sure. So we'll just give maybe 30 seconds for the survey to be filled in, and then we'll come back and answer some of the Q&A. But in the meantime, please post questions as well in the interface. We'd be really happy to answer anything you'd like to ask.
Okay, great. So it looks like we only have 2 questions online. The first is from David Peters of eMagine. You asked what fill rate is. And fill rate is essentially the number of ad requests to the number of ads served. So the number of ads, that's the number of ads served divided by the number of ad requests. So if you are requesting 10 ads from a particular ad network, but they are only giving you 5 ads, your fill rate is only 50%. And the reason why this is important is because that means you have 50% of your inventory that is unmonetized, that should go to another ad network that could actually monetize on all of the ad requests that they're giving you.
Cool. Thanks, Tian. And there are a couple of questions about mobile websites as well. So just to explain, so AdMob is exclusively for mobile apps. You should only put the SDK on mobile applications. If you do have mobile sites or M sites that you're looking to monetize, you should use AdSense, which you can sign up for at adsense.com.
And it doesn't look like we have any more questions. Oh, one more came in. Great. Okay, so it doesn't look like we have any more questions. So thank you, everybody who attended this webinar today. Again, we're looking forward to be able to provide you with more information in the future on whatever topic you're looking for. So please do fill out that survey and let us know whatever you need. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.